Water. Humans are made up of 70% of it. It covers a large majority of the globe and, surprisingly, is stupidly hard to find in LEGO games. I mean, a few of the games. Sometimes the game starts you within 20 seconds of water, other times you're 30 minutes away from staying hydrated. But this dog has learned a few new tricks since the last video. So today, we're going to see how fast you can touch water in all 25 of the mainline Traveler's Tale LEGO video games. And to those 3 people in my comments who keep asking about LEGO Island, last I checked it does not fit my criteria. Also, it's an island. There's water in literally every direction. The rules for today's challenge are simple. Your character has to physically touch water for the timer to end. With the exception of rain, I'm not counting rain. While the beginning of this video may fly by in seconds, I promise you that a few of these games are an absolute pain to get through. Anyways, let's finally get going. The first game on our list, LEGO Star Wars 1, has water right inside of level 2, so after we get through negotiations with a very unsupportive Qui-Gon Jinn, we can do some tight platforming jumps to speed through room 2 and land in the leaf-filled space water. I'm gonna assume that space water still counts. Speaking of space water, more Star Wars. LEGO Star Wars 2 has water right inside of the first level, believe it or not. And while the speed tech isn't all that interesting to get there, what is interesting is how the stormtroopers managed to install a hot tub in a ship they just boarded, and also pack their swimsuits. Is this like a regular thing? Wow, can you believe it? More Star Wars. Despite this game being twice the size of the previous 2 combined, it's quite a bit shorter, as right away we can drop in Player 2 inside the cantina, head to the arcade, and select any of the maps with water. Here I chose Dagobah because it reminds me of my little green friend Mr. Kremling from Donkey Kong 64. Real talk, with all the Star Wars we've been playing, it feels like I'm kind of beating a dead horse more than Disney is. So let's take a detour to LEGO Indiana Jones 1: The Original Adventures. A quick detour though, as we can fly through the first room of level 1 with ease, mashing the B button to dig faster, and doing a drop and warp to skip the end room puzzle. From there, we can jump into a nice little lake not even 2 minutes in. Over half of this run was the cutscene. Though LEGO Batman 1 didn't go too well in our last challenge, I'm here to make up for it with the easiest game thus far, because all it entails is returning to the Batcave and jumping into the water next to the Batboat. No dropping in Player 2, no arcade, nothing. Just boat. You may be noticing now that this challenge boils down to finding the earliest body of water in each game, and while that may be true in the beginning, LEGO Indy 2 changes that. Not just that though, as we also get access to skipping cutscenes via the no-cut cheat code, cutting our overall time down even more. When we spawn into the Crystal Skull hub, we can immediately head over to the back of the map, break open the fire hydrant, and touch water. If you want to be special, after all that is done, you can grab Mac and toss him up to meet God. I just really wanted to show that off, sorry. As we then arrive in the wizarding world of Harry Potter, we unfortunately have to clear both level 1 and the first spell lesson in order to access the larger part of Hogwarts. We can speed this process up though by using 1P2C to multitask a few puzzles, which saves a very nice chunk of time in the Wingardium Leviosa lesson especially. The earliest water that I could find was in the fountain in the greater courtyard area, which also coincidentally was the earliest grass in the game as well. To be honest with you, I wasn't looking forward to LEGO Star Wars 3. It's a great game, don't get me wrong, but I had ordered DoorDash before I began recording, and midway through the second level we played, my food got here. And while I decided to pause the game, I chose to, for whatever reason, not pause my timer, so, Anyways, we take the same route as we did in the grass run, heading through the Ventress storyline to get to Naboo ASAP. Besides the food incident, everything went fairly well. For me, I mean, not necessarily for Ahsoka, but eventually we made it, and yes, the food was delicious. And hey, if you still somehow aren't tired of all of this Star Wars, I posted an hour-long video last week about how I beat the entirety of the complete saga blindfolded. I might be a bit biased, but I would say it's worth the watch. Anyways, Pirates of the Caribbean time. Did you expect anything different? This game takes place in an ocean. There's only 2 rooms before the beach, and both serve the purpose of being basic tutorials, so as you can imagine, it takes like 2 seconds to get here. The return to Harry Potter is just as short, as the first level has plenty of puddles to step in, but LEGO Batman 2 is anything but. While we do have to clear one level, it's a pretty taxing level, as there's a launch we need to do in room 3 that my PC very much does not like. After we take down Harley and expose the Riddler, we can jump and pause buffer across this gap, which will allow us to glide a little bit further than intended, and then use Batman's player model to hide Robin from the sensor camera, cutting down the time in this room by a lot. The following room is where we hit some issues. By toggling our VSync from 30 frames per second to unlimited, we get a large boost in frames. If you accompany this boost by punching against a slope, your character goes flying, which is step 1, and also the step that we struggle with. I don't normally get enough frames to launch, and even if I did, you have to pull this trick off on double controller, since unpausing the game locks your keyboard out of any inputs for a few seconds. I do not own 2 video game controllers. But the reason this saves time overall is because you can position player 1 right in front of the ending door of the room, and right before the cutscene plays for Two-Face to walk out, double jump to roll in. It is a very tight window, and we only get 1 shot. A shot that I just so happened to miss. It's time to play casually. So then, after beating the room, we take down Joker and end up outside in Gotham, where we can dive headfirst into the bay and call our time. Me too, Batman. Lord of the Rings is a similar deal, where after an uneventful level 1, we can jump into a river in the overworld. I do kind of like the fight against Sauron though, as he's kind of just stupid. LEGO City Undercover takes 2 seconds, and LEGO Marvel Superheroes lets us get shot by a pressurized water cannon right in the first section. Touching grass and taking showers, my comment section could learn a thing or two. Keeping up this stretch of really short games, we have LEGO Movie 1, the video game, where some simple jumping and building gets us through level 1, where we can then run into the central fountain and take a dive. We see something very similar in The Hobbit, but the tech scene in the very first level is a bit more interesting. We can use a good amount of 1P2C to speed up the early puzzles, then do a double jump into a dropout to land player 2 behind a cutscene trigger. If you miss this, you have to do a bunch of stuff to open the door back up, so thank God. Buddy up, break some rocks, and run from a dragon and jump into the river. After that, close the game and open up LEGO Batman 3 Beyond Gotham, which luckily for us has water right inside of the very first area. So if we just hit new game here, I forgot to input the cutscene skipping code. Ignore that time. Remember what happened last time we opened up LEGO Ninjago? If you don't, here's a quick refresher. I can't move or do anything. Fortunately, this time we avoided that soft lock and we actually get to play the game. Once we leave the vehicle section, we have to do some light platforming and a lot of 1P2C combat to make it over to the second part of the chapter, where there's a river we can jump in to touch water. On the way there though, I managed to somehow do this. What? Why the fuck did that happen? Where did that water come from? Okay, well, time? I guess? Yeah, I don't know either. What I do know, though, is that LEGO Jurassic World will be a cakewalk. We spawn on an island and have to do some pretty simple puzzles to transition over to the desert, where we can do a similar launch technique to LEGO Batman 2, to shoot all the way into the sky and land on top of this raised up hill. After I did this, though, I realized that I had launched up the wrong character, and try as I might, I couldn't get the same launch to work for a second time. So I had to improvise. I screwed around for a few minutes and discovered a second place you were able to launch from. And again, after spending another multiple minutes messing up, I got it and ended off the game with the very short time of 23 minutes by jumping into water in the hub area. 23 minutes for the tutorial. Now, LEGO Dimensions was supposed to be in this video, but, LEGO Avengers, LEGO Worlds, and Superheroes 2 all have water within the first 10 seconds. But The Force Awakens takes some extra juice to get through. Once again, we have some more launches to do, notably one that will land us directly into the first cutscene for the ATST section. We can roll at this object against the wall, toggle VSync, and continue rolling into oblivion. And miss. Again. Oh, okay, we lived, but I don't think I'm supposed to be here. Where am I? Oh, okay, that's the void, alright. I know I'm supposed to be speedrunning right now, but I'm kind of enamored by this random, out-of-bounds platform. Alright, reset. Okay, first try, now we have a run going. To be honest, this is the furthest I've ever made it in this game, but I've watched a few speedruns, so I kind of know where I'm going. We fight Palpatine, fly through the Death Star, and alright, now I'm completely blind. Lucky for us, there is some water coming out of these pipes in Jakku, so all we need to do is stand next to them when we... Where did my water go? Luckily for us, there's some water coming out of this water tower on Jakku, so all we need to do is stand next to it when it falls over, and then we can call our time. Kind of a rough game. The Incredibles also has water inside of its first level, so after dropping out Elastigirl through a solid wall, we can head into Section 2 and break open the fire hydrant, which puts us in our final 3 games for the video. DC Supervillains ends up being pretty boring though, as after playing through level 1, we just kind of jump into Gotham Bay, but LEGO Movie 2 ends up being probably the coolest game thus far. Here we have to use a combination of 1P2C and a little piece of tech known as triple jumping to collect 12 master builder bricks and move on to the second world. Triple jumping is done by using a slam attack in the air and canceling the animation by swapping to the item that you're holding. This gives you a little bit of extra height which can be used to reach a lot of unintended areas. The first place you want to go is up here to grab this brick early, which I missed several times over. How did that not make it? Alright, I'm gonna be a chump and build a bouncer, and we're gonna move on from this. After that, we can go and talk to Metalbeard and use the triple jumps to get on top of the garage door and onto the mountains. We drop an Emmet up here as well to grab a quick brick on the ground, and after a few more locations, we're ready to start progressing towards World 2, and I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. I should really start playing through a couple of these games first, huh? Wait, I think when I got all the bricks, I unlocked a sprinkler that I can build? Oh yeah, okay, so what are the odds this thing shoots out water? We just have to find one more white brick, and that's time. Alright, one more game remaining. Again, what did you expect? Gungans literally live underwater. And that is how fast you can touch water in every single LEGO game. Roughly.